1st, 2022 Town of Eastchester Architectural Review Board meeting. Can we please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Would you like me to do the roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay. Enda McIntyre.
Here.
Jennifer Nemisek.
Here.
Silvio Luca.
Here.
Okay, Carlos Garcia Bo, not quite sure whether he's going to be able to make it or not, but he's obviously not here now, and Laura Raffiani will not be able to attend the meeting tonight.
And usually we go over the minutes, but we're going to wait till the next October 6th ARB meeting to approve those, because we don't have everyone here. Please note that application 22-30 Serafina has been adjourned to the October 6th, 2022 ARB meeting. So the new business is the first item, 22-15 Amico Station at 497 New Rochelle Road.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Villani, representing Annunziata Villani Design Consultants, proposing a canopy structure at the 497 New Rochelle Road Amico Station. Very simple, two materials. I have them in color on the computer. I apologize for not the color on the presentation drawing, but it's asphalt shingle roof with a composite white trim around the entire structure. It's similar to a station that's a little further down the road on New Rochelle Road. They have a canopy structure. Similar materials. The asphalt shingles will match a pewter gray that's on the existing service station building. So we're staying in vein with all the white, gray colors that are on the existing building.
Okay. Any questions here?
I believe they're color in your packet. I also have a computer if you want to take a look at the colors. In those photos, there should be a photo of the other structure that's a couple of stories down.
So, I'm familiar with this. This is actually where I get gas. The objective here is just to kind of give some weather cover to the,
Indeed. Believe it or not, there's a big, it's a selling point because people go to the station with the cover versus the station without the cover. They'll go down the block instead of coming to his store with if it's raining.
right.
Will it have lights inside?
It'll have LED lights underneath.
Okay.
As per, they have to have LED lights underneath for test lighting on the pumps.
Does it need to have like a Ansel system or a fire protection system?
Not anymore. That code is not, there's no suppression systems required under canopies now.
Okay. And I guess the columns or the stanchions, that's not going to be impeding the kind of cars pulling in, is that?
No,
Can
I
you
could
look
show.
at do you have a site plan?
Yeah, I have
there?
a site plan. So the structure is, this is the building, this is the structure out here. These are the two existing pumps. We're limited on this side of the
Right.
property due to the property line, so the cars come through here. So the columns are actually hugging the building on one side
Okay.
and in between the pumps on the other. So there's actually a lot of clearance as opposed to
It's
other
tight, it's tight on the,
pedestrian side.
yeah,
But it's going to be out of the pedestrian walkway due to the property line. The property line ends at the planter,
right,
so we're not allowed to protrude past that line.
right. So it's a big, what's the footprint of this thing again?
It is
Pretty
40 by 33.
pretty substantial.
Will there be any signage on there?
No signage. They have signage. They have we got a separate signage approval for a monument sign on the property.
Okay.
And we don't permit signage on the canopies.
Okay.
So the top of the ridge in relationship to the ridge line on the existing structure,
It does exceed the existing ridge, not by much, maybe a foot or two, but they're separated, so they're not connected. So and the gable is actually going perpendicular to this gable, parallel to this gable.
All right.
Obviously, the reason for the height is the minimum is 14.6 clearance underneath for trucks and deliveries and fuel. So the pitch, we left at a 5. Because if you use asphalt shingles to create a residential look, you don't want to go below a 4 pitch due to the fact that shingles don't, you'd have to switch to a flat roof because shingles tend to deteriorate when it's lower the pitch.
And the placement of the columns, obviously, they're more of a spread on the ones closer to the existing structure and
Yes, these
ones
two,
on the front.
yes. Because there really is no place to put them elsewhere because the cars
Yeah.
and pedestrians walk here. So we hug the building with these 2 columns, and these 2 stand in between the existing pumps. So there's actually no impeding the car traffic.
Do the front ones need footings?
They all need footings, yeah.
So how's that going to, is there any concern there regarding,
The tanks.
yeah, the tanks?
No, I mean, I've done it on several occasions. I've also built these stations. You do a lot of hand digging, you don't really dig with a machine, and you dig around the existing, and you slide them over so the footing, it's really a square that comes right next to the pump.
How long does something like this take, and is the station out of commission?
Well, the longest wait is for the canopy. It takes about 8 weeks for the canopy, but once the canopy gets there, everything will be prepped within a week, and then they erect it within a week.
Okay.
Believe me, my client doesn't want to be down for more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Is there any sort of water, stormwater management? Is there like leaders or?
Well, it's totally impervious property already, so they do have existing drainage on the property. So basically, the leaders will lead to that existing drainage.
Are they on this drawing, or?
Not on the sections. They were on my construction documents, but not these 2 pages. They usually we do them internally, and they pop out to the bottom of the columns, so you don't see them.
Well, it's probably not very good if they pop out the bottom of the columns on the pump side, right? Because that's,
No, they're diverted away from the pumps and the actual concrete pad due to they don't want any icing.
yeah. I don't see them on these construction drawings.
I could present that.
Yeah. I just think you want to sort of address that, when you present to the planning board.
Not a problem.
I just have one quick question, too. I thought the code requirement was 13 feet 6 inches, the lowest. You sure it's 14.6?
Every
Yes, I know.
every pump installer, canopy installer, 14'6", due to the fueling truck coming underneath. I'll double check it, but believe me, I've done it on
And
2.
I know you want enough clearance, but if you could lower the height.
Yeah, I could check. I don't think 13.6 is going to make it with the canopy structure people that I've spoken to and the new trucks and
Okay.
all that. So I have to just make sure.
I don't know.
You did submit some pictures of the adjacent, I guess, properties, and one being the mobile station, down on the other sort of diagonal corner, right?
Correct.
That's just for reference,
For
right?
reference, yes. We're staying in the same vein as that.
Is the pitch on your,
Asphalt shingle, but
I guess,
Theirs is
canopy?
theirs is
Shallower.
shallower, but
I was thinking about
again, they're going to have to replace their roof within 5 to 10 years.
But it won't match this.
So, I just, is the difference, that 1 or 2 foot difference in pitch just because it's a maintenance issue? Because I think, you know, the ridge line on the current dwelling, now this thing's gonna, you know, it's gonna exceed that by,
No, we're willing to change the pitch to a 4. I just don't, I could maybe get away with a 3, but I don't want to go to a 2 or a 1 because that's where it gets flat.
no, well,
Yeah.
we're not suggesting that, we're just, the question, I asked the question, you know, what's the height of the ridge on the existing structure in relationship to the height of the ridge on the new one, and you answered it's a foot or 2 higher on the new one.
Correct.
The ridge on the existing is probably 19 to 20 feet tall. How high is it?
23.
23? So it's like a 4-foot difference. You could just scale it by the door. If the door's 7 feet, it's about 19 feet.
You know, there's not a lot of architectural review associated with this particular application. However, you know, I think we want to try and be as mindful as we can to make sure it's not out of scale, it's not, you know, domineering the existing structure, and just there's some degree of symmetry in terms of scale and height
Sure.
between the existing, you know, between the existing building. So, I don't know, do you think that's something, Sylvia, that, you
I
know?
think changing the pitch to 412 is definitely going to help. It's going to lower that roof.
What I can do is measure the ridge,
Right.
you know, because there's
It definitely has to be an asphalt.
there's an elevation difference also coming out to the pad. I can measure the ridge to the existing building, drag it across, and see what pitch that gives me.
Because, you know, if you kind of visualize this and this, you can see that the new structure overpowers this,
Yeah.
certainly.
Bigger than the existing, almost bigger than the existing,
Right.
well, at least not the surface half, but the actual pitch cover. But I mean, we have no,
Are they always asphalt shingle roofs? You can't, I mean,
well,
is it
no, that's
cost
the look,
factor?
that's the look that they're trying to go for, because you can't really, in this area, it doesn't really fit to put one of those canopies with the fascia boards, and then you have to put sign. So the notice is that if you do a fascia board around the canopy, the actual supplier wants you to put signage on the
Right.
fascia board. So when you do a canopy structure like this, you can't put signage on it. So I think that was always the intention, not to put signage on the actual canopy.
I think just the general concern is that we want it to look like it was, you know, it fits in, and it's not an afterthought where you have this, you know, oversized, imposing structure that looks like it was an afterthought, and it's imposing, you know, the other building, which has some degree of character, right? Like, you know, it's not this gargantuan
That's stone veneer,
know.
yeah.
service station. Yeah, I kind of think if it was brought down a little bit, I think it you know, may sort of look more in keeping with something that's there as opposed to this.
Not a problem. The only restriction, like I said, I'll double check with the installers, but I'll check the height underneath. I'm pretty sure it's 14'6" clearance, and then I can match the ridge line and see where that pitch brings me to match the ridge line of the existing.
Okay.
You satisfied with that? Okay. All
You
right.
want to open it up and
Yep.
see?
I make a motion to open the public hearing on application 22-15 Amico Station.
Second.
Aye.
Anybody here would like to speak? With
Any
regard to-
comments? None? Okay.
Okay.
I make a motion to close public hearing on application 22-15 Amico Station.
Second.
Okay, so that motion, I make a motion to refer application 22-15 Amico Station to the planning board with a recommendation to approve as submitted with the new ridge line.
So I'll read what the
Okay.
conditions were. So when you appear before the planning board, show the leaders on the elevations and address drainage from the leaders. Check the code requirement with regard to the minimum required clearance height, clarify what the height to the ridge of the existing structure is compared to the height of the proposed canopy, and consider changing the pitch potentially to 412 to lowering it.
Absolutely, not a problem.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Okay, our next item of new business is item number 2, 22-31 White Plains Hospital at 750 White Plains Road.
They're going to be presenting
think I'm hooked up.
smaller
Oh,
drawings.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's mine.
There you go.
It's up on the screen.
I'm very bad with the microphone, so if I'm too loud or too soft, you'll let me know.
Okay,
You're
My name
fine
is-
so far.
Shall I start?
Sure.
My name is Jim Case. I'm a principal with Canon Design Architecture, and with me is Daniel Schmidt, a project architect with our firm. And we've been retained by White Plains Hospital to design an ambulatory outpatient facility at what was the Lord and Taylor building in Eastchester. And we submitted a bunch of drawings, which you, I think, have copies of, probably more than you need. So I'm going to focus on what I think you want to see, but stop me if you want me to talk about something else.
okay.
So I'm going to skip over to here, and I'm just going to, zoom in, excuse me. Just to orient everybody. This is the portion of the building that we're talking about, and this is the north entrance here that exists today, and there's an east entrance on the lower parking lot. There's two parking lots. This is higher. This one over here is, if you can see my pointer, is lower. And our space is approximately 50,000 square feet on the main level here, which is access directly off of this higher parking lot. And we'll also have access from a vestibule on the lower parking lot, which will have a stair and elevator that will take patients up to the main level. And now I'm going to show you the main, there's really three interventions to the facade of this building that are taking place. One, the landlord is already in process of doing under a separate application. He's adding some windows to the facade of the building. You've probably seen that. I don't know. So that's one. And the two that we're doing are at the entrance here at the north. Maybe this arrow looks better here, and at the vestibule on the east side. I'll home in on that for a second. So, give me a second. Whoops. So on the, oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to show you one more thing on this drawing. So this here, getting used to using this system here, this is the north entrance off the higher parking lot as it exists today. And what we're proposing to do is remove the stone and glass, replace it with new glass in the exact same plane as what was there now. We're not changing the footprint of the building or increasing any size here. We're just replacing it with more glass because that's going to be our main entrance and access to waiting areas. We want to get more natural light into the space. We're also going to add a kind of a crisp canopy to this, which I'll show you a rendering of in a minute, which will go to the same height as this part of the building, not the higher part, but the main part of the building. And then the other entrance, excuse me, sorry, the vestibule can be seen in this photograph. There's an existing vestibule on that lower parking lot on the east side. It's a little blurry here, but it's a glass vestibule with a flat roof right here. And what we're proposing to do is take that down and put in a new taller vestibule in the same location, same footprint, not expanding the footprint of the building, but giving it more height so we can add a sort of monumental decorative stair on the inside to go up to the main level, plus an elevator. There are escalators there now that are back in here, which we're going to remove and close up and put in an elevator instead for patient access to the main floor. So let me show you what those will look like, we think. Whoops. Kind of stylized automobiles. The one at the upper parking lot, the north entrance, where we're removing the stone, this is what we're proposing. And again, this curtain wall will be in the same plane as what's there now, but then we're proposing a canopy that's really a three-sided structure, if you will, that goes out to the face of the building to cover this entry area. And the inside of it will be sheathed in a wood-looking material. It won't be wood, but it'll be a product that has that look to it to give it a kind of warmer feel. And the edge of it will be white to match the rest of the building. And there'll be a smaller and very little minor gesture here in white that will signify where the actual doors are to enter. So that's that one. And on the east lower parking lot, that is proposed to look like this. Same footprint as the vestibule that's there now, but we're raising it up. I don't know if you can see, maybe zoom in a little bit. You'll be able to see into a stairway that goes up. There'll be an elevator further back, and this will be the entrance to the lower parking lot to the White Plains Outpatient Center. Inside, we're going to have that same wood-like material, but it'll be within the structure, not on the outside, like it is in the other entrance. And then if I go to one more rendering here, give it a second to load. This kind of shows both of the entrances from one angle, the taller vestibule and the canopy piece we're doing at the other entrance. There's a stairway being put in that doesn't exist now by the landlord. That's not part of our work. Any questions so far?
How will it be illuminated? Is it illuminated from the inside?
So the parking lot itself will have illumination like it has now, and we're not involved in that part. I guess that would be the landlord.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't, to be perfectly honest, finished designing the lighting for this, so your feedback is perfect timing. What we've done at other projects for other hospitals, outpatient centers like this, is sometimes we'll put in LED lighting that is dimmable, so that can be adjusted if there's an issue. But we haven't designed it yet, but it'll be lit from the inside. There will be lights, we think, in this canopy here on the outside to illuminate the area immediately below, but not illuminating out to neighbors.
Okay. And will there be any additional lighting in the planting areas?
Any lighting in planting areas, I think, will be the landlord's work.
Okay.
Mike, is that a fair statement? Yeah. That's my squad here.
And my next question is about signage.
So, I knew you were going to ask that, because there's no signage shown right now, and that's for a reason. Hasn't been designed yet. We understand, and maybe we're wrong, it's understanding that's a separate application, and so at a separate point, the hospital will come in with the signage they're proposing, and that'll be discussed.
Okay.
But I'm sure there'll be some signage on the outside of the building, but how large and what kind, we haven't gone there yet.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, I had a question that I had mentioned to you previously about roof-mounted equipment.
Yes, okay. So there is a roof-mounted unit now that exists that's going to be, I think that's being removed, right? Possibly. Okay, we may reuse it, we may not. And up until recently, we were proposing 3 new additional units on the roof, air handling units, to handle the airflow and filtration, all we need for a medical space. We have done a couple of drawings to see what the impact of those would be visually. They're in the set that you have, and let me just find it here for you. So from a few views, you can see the 3 new units poking up a little bit, like in this view here. From other views, you can't because it's blocked by the perspective and where you're standing. So for instance, in this view, you don't really see them, but on this more head-on view, closer in, you do. Now, those units are units that are up on dunnage, so they're high. We're looking now to use 4 units that are smaller on curbs, which will if not completely eliminate, certainly reduce this down to near zero, what you would see from most angles.
The building has a parapet right now?
Is there a parapet now?
It has a partial parapet. That right side of the building that we're looking at is a
Over here.
fairly high parapet. And then there's gravel stops, right where our entrance is gonna be, and then to the left of that, there's like 6-inch curbs, so it's kinda up and down with the height of what's happening.
Yeah, unfortunately, we need to have rooftop units for air handling, but we've moved them back as far as we can, and so you will see them in some views and not in others, from what we've drawn here, and they're on your drawings as well.
And there won't,
Looking at possibly hiding one of them behind that higher parapet area, which is
Yeah, so
over 5 feet.
here you see a little bit as well, yeah.
and you won't need any kind of additional bump out on the roof for the new elevator, right? That's perfectly within, okay.
It's gonna be enclosed with it, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It's a small, it's only a 2-step elevator, and our height is so high.
We have very high ceilings, so that's going to be within the space.
Okay. What do you think?
Straightforward.
Okay.
We do have some materials if you'd like to.
Sure, we'd like to see that.
Put this one back.
The base building windows have black mullions, so we're gonna match that with a curtain wall. This is just a matte black.
Clear glass?
So on the east side, we have clear glass, which is nice. On the north side, we're gonna white dot frit it 30%, just to hide some structure that you can possibly see through the curtain wall since it's certain height. And also for possible sun shading, so this is just an example. This is like for leave a little bit more dense than 30%. And our white metal panel for the outside,
That's just for color, correct? The white metal panel is, that's going where?
that's the outside of the frame.
Oh, the frame, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Will the frame be aluminum like this? The material?
We're gonna do, so we're gonna do an ACM panel, so yes, or like a flat plate, to avoid some insulation issues, but it's going to be, aluminum panel. It's gonna be a little bit thicker than that, that's kind
Yeah,
of.
a kid, someone throws a baseball at this, it's gonna be,
The gauge is not accurate.
my son throws a baseball at this, it's gonna be,
And then just.
And this is the wood?
The wood look, yeah. Most
Keep
likely
your son away from our building.
Like a coating on top of that green color?
oh. It's thermal.
These are really submitted just for color, they're, those aren't the final actual
this color.
products.
It will be this color, right?
That is currently what we're looking at, yeah. If that changes, it's gonna be like a very similar,
Mm-hmm.
family.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I just have one, one question on the interior sort of layout. I did see one drawing in there where it was just a mass of, I guess, examination rooms. Is that? the
Yeah, let me
design?
explain that. It's interesting, actually, because it's something that is talked about a lot, and let me see if I have that. You're talking about this drawing here, I think,
Yeah.
which is in your set. And this is the lobby, the shape of the lobby is changing as we're still working out the interior layout of this. But there are a number of specialty practices that are moving in here. Dermatology, allergy, orthopedics, there's about 8 or 9 different specialties moving in. Each one will have a grouping or a number of exam rooms they need for their practice. But on some days, there'll be more of one, less than another, so they're going to flex. So the idea is to build a flexible grid of exam rooms and corridors that connect them in a way that the hospital's program can flex and change over time, but the basic module, in this case, the key room would be the exam room, that's what we have the most of, is designed in a way that can adapt and service almost any of these specialties. There are a few that are slightly different because of the specialty and the equipment they need, but most of them can serve any specialty. And so there'll be more than one check-in area when you walk in. And so you're not going to be walking into a C, you'll be walking to a reception, check-in, and then be directed to where you need to go in the facility. It's still being worked out because the specialties are still a little bit in flux. So it does look on paper like a lot of stuff, and it is, but it's going to be operationally and organizationally pretty well thought out and hopefully running smoothly. And the idea operationally is to minimize the amount of waiting time that patients have. And part of that is a function of the quantity of rooms you have and the ability to keep people moving.
So I guess, as part of that design, right, like, I guess you need to know what the, the usage is, and again, looking at the density of office space, does that dictate, the amount of additional tonnage of AC that's required? Is that driving, the larger scale air conditioning requirement, i.e. the bigger unit on the roof? Does every one of those offices have to have sprinkler protection,
So it's mostly clinical space exam rooms. There are offices as well, but the majority of rooms are exam rooms. And there's really a couple things that force the infrastructure to be a certain size. One is just the sheer square footage of it. It's 50,000 plus square feet. The other is the occupancy load, given that this is an outpatient center, as opposed to some other type of use that might have fewer occupants. And that's really it. And the healthcare codes typically, there's a code, and there's also the way the hospital wants to operate their business. Generally has a much more robust air changes per hour and filtration for safety, especially nowadays with the pandemic and COVID. So what we're doing here is very typical for this type of facility. It's nothing unusual, but it is different than probably, typical. It's different than typical office space.
No, I understand that, but I think we've kind of just somewhat skimmed over the equipment on the roof, right? It's not really detailed that well in the elevations in terms of heights, and again, that's something that this board looks at, whether it's a residential project or whether it's a larger scale sort of commercial project such as this. So I guess my question is, if this, which it will, move down the road and go in front of the planning board, I think there needs to be some more specificity and sort of attention to the size of equipment that's going on the roof, and is it just a sort of visual representation as you've shared with us tonight, or is there more specifics in terms of the scale and the size?
Yep.
Because if you have 50-odd examination rooms, each of those have to have an air outlet, where before it was a wide open retail space.
Mm-hmm.
This proposed application, I would assume, would require more air conditioning, and obviously as a result of, it's either multiple units or one large unit or multiple large units. So I think just in terms of the aesthetics and the appearance, think we would like, and the planning board certainly would like to have a little more information on the size and how those units appear in terms of the overall elevations and what they look like from ground level and White Plains Road and Wilmot Road, or whatever the other road is on the opposite side.
So we hear you loud and clear. Drawing A0301, which I'll put up on the screen here, is a flat elevation of the building. And we do have dimensions of the units as they were about several weeks ago, but as I said, they're coming down in height from what we're showing here. The drawings I showed you before, the perspectives where you see them poking up, were based on this set of units with the dimensions you see here, and we're bringing this down. I don't have the exact size yet of the smaller units and on curbs. These are larger units up on roof
Dunnage,
tonnage.
yeah.
So it will be less than this. I don't have the exact dimensions yet because it's still being designed. And but that information in terms of what was at the date that we submitted these drawings are here in terms of the sizes. But again, we're in process of lowering that. Not out of any commentary here, just out of a desire to be more flexible with 4 units.
I get it. Listen, this is a little fluid, and I guess
Yeah.
it's.
But yeah, I can tell you that we are, because we do a lot of healthcare work, aware that the lower we can keep these and the further back,
Right.
the less impact, and that's what
Right.
we're trying to do.
Right.
And it will be better than what we're showing here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to make a motion to open the public hearing on application 22-31 White Plains Hospital. So is there anyone here? Questions? No? Okay. Okay, I make a motion to close the public hearing on application 22-15 White Plains Hospital.
Second.
Okay, I make a motion to refer to application 22-31 White Plains Hospital to the planning board, and we have just,
Yeah, I think the 1 or 2 conditions or comments were what we just spoke about, providing more specific information with regard to the roof-mounted equipment and trying to minimize views of those to the maximum extent possible. The planning board will be concerned about that as well. And then also just to reiterate, which I had already discussed with the applicant as well, sort of minimize the impact of any proposed lighting that's within those entranceways. That's it.
okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, and next on the agenda is item number 3, 22-32, 106 Serenoi Boulevard. Hi.
Good evening. Oh, wow. I am Greg Ralph. I'm the architect hired by the applicant, Mr. Orth, to design the addition to his house and to represent him tonight. I'll dive in and give a little background. How much of the floor plans do you want to know about tonight, or would you like me to focus mainly on existing to new massing and elevation?
The latter, yeah.
Great. So I'm just going to flip over. And then we also included a slew of additional renders for tonight that are larger to look at. Jada, would you love to help me? Because I have not enough hands. There we go. Cool. Okay, so existing 2-story dwelling there. It is stucco finish, pretty much all around, asphalt shingle roof. You could see from the photographs that we submitted that it's not in the best of repair and maintenance all throughout. The primary dominant feature on the existing facade is this two-car garage door and that hip roof elevation, and then the actual architecture is kind of tucked back from it. And the entry itself is also, as you see in this photograph, kind of obscured from view as you come down the road. And then on the, I know it's not primary focus, but it's still relevant, on the rear, we refer to it in the application materials as somewhat of an orphaned addition and space on the back. So the task that we received in addition to the plans was just help me reconcile the massing of the home, help me make it make sense, help me introduce some order and symmetry to it, and help me improve the streetscape. So if we go to the elevation page, this is ARB 11. So Mr. Orth is a general fan of kind of that farmhouse or modern farmhouse style. So we pulled forward the second floor over that garage, and we would propose swapping out the garage door to something that has a little bit more scale to it, a little more human scale, a little more pedestrian instead of just that very plain overhead door. More attractive there, and then working pretty hard to define 3 axes. So vertical axes with the garage door, double windows in the bedroom above, and secondary ridgeline. We have an axis of the center of the home with the primary ridgeline, and then we have an axis for the new porch that we pulled forward, and another bedroom that would be above with double windows. We kind of expand and maintain a chimney element massing on the side of the dwelling there. And that's about it on the front. I won't go around. Do you want me to go around the sides, or you care primarily about
We'd like to, yes.
Go around the sides? Okay. So, you know, the side elevations, again, generally we're trying to maintain a series of order. We tried to reconcile the lines of the home as we go. This is the inset of the porch that leads to the entryway. And then the rear of the home was quite reconciled from the existing condition. We squared off that massing on the rear with a 1-story roof, and then you have the second floor above it, which then again steps back to that attic that is up above with that primary roof line. There is a deck that we're proposing on the rear, and we did mention the materials on here. This sheet is great because it has the list of materials, which I'll talk about in the elevations. But generally speaking, it's a lot of more maintenance-free materials with a hardy or cement board and batten wrapping the house, redone stucco around the foundation that would match color. We're proposing asphalt shingle roof all around on the roof lines. And then the decking itself would be a maintenance-free Trex or other style deck material. And then the other side elevation is, again, just relatively reconciled massing, some limited windows based on programmatic elements on the interior. And then we modified the renderings a bit from what you had and just made them larger for visibility. The real changes really was just to try to show it with less shadow. I know the ones that we submitted were a little bit dark, and that wasn't exactly doing justice to the intended color is like a charcoal. And so when it's in the sun, I think the renders that you had read a little bit brown and really washed out. So general color palette would be that charcoal for the siding. The trim and the windows would be black. The asphalt shingle would be black. And then we've been playing with cedar accents. Actually, even in preparation for this, we were looking at some other places to incorporate that cedar accent, whether that's the header over the garage door, headers over the windows. We were just thinking about ways to bring a little bit more warmth into the elevation with that cedar element. But again, generally speaking, it's charcoal and black. And the window series currently we have specified as Marvin, which is a pretty solid, well-known brand.
Do you have any material samples?
You know, unfortunately, we did not bring any
Oh.
materials.
It's a vertical board and batten.
What's
Hardy.
that?
It's a vertical.
It's a
hardy.
vertical board and batten hardy, correct.
You really don't really read it in
In the rendering?
the rendering.
Yeah.
You would definitely see the shadow lines.
That's fair.
Every, whatever, 12 inches, 18 inches?
It's about a 12 to 18 inch, correct, yeah. I think we're going a little wider with the 18 inch, but yes. So these, again, these are similar views to what you have in your packet, they're just enlarged.
Your asphalt roof in the back, the pitch is way too shallow for asphalt shingle.
This roof?
It's like a 212 maybe.
Yeah, I have the roof plan because I knew the pitches would come up.
That's not even a 3 for sure. Do you have enough room to raise the back under the
Yeah,
window?
we do. I was looking at the window lines here. Let me just look at the.
A lot of people, when they have, limited pitch, they'll do a standing seam instead of you don't,
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about it.
most farmhouses
Changing the material
actually,
there, but.
Have standing seam.
farmhouse-style homes that are
The
built, getting
standing
built
seam,
everywhere,
yeah.
they all have standing seam.
We've been working on this for a while, so I've sort of forgotten some of the elements, but that was a focus area in like February, March, to make sure that the pitch was, okay for asphalt. I understand your concern, I agree with it, but this was a focus item before.
And I don't have an issue with, we have the room to raise it anyway. I think the question is the standing seam metal roof as a,
We could do it, it's just gonna cost more money. We have standing seam in the front.
on the front porch.
On the front porch?
Also, this is a house for me, but I am a builder, part-time builder on the side, so.
Okay. Any other comments? I have a couple of comments.
Yeah, please.
You're going to have the party plank around the chimney element?
That is the current plan, correct?
Okay. You didn't think about having stone or something, a different material to like accent it a little bit?
We're trying, not opposed, we're trying to keep with clean lines.
Mhm.
This is a modern, French, fireplace that has an 8-inch chimney, aluminum chimney, I guess it is, or galvanized.
You're like a B vent.
And you only need a few inches on either side of clearance of that. So our thought was instead of contrasting, more blending.
Okay.
We
And-
built, Greg and his team and I built basically this house in a much grander scale, the height of the pandemic, and it came out really well.
Okay.
We have our own history with these, and personally, this is personal preference. It came out really nice.
Okay. And what about lighting? Will you have lighting in front of the house, in the
Yeah, it didn't-
entryway and in the
It's on the
front of
construction
garage?
drawings, it didn't happen to make it into this render, but that, in addition to the downlighting and illumination that would be in here, that we would propose a carriage lamp here and a carriage lamp next to the front door.
Okay.
That roof over the entryway is a standing seam roof?
This roof would be a standing seam roof, yes. I misspoke before.
And I don't see any leaders on the rendering. Are they there?
They are, yeah, there's actually a relatively extensive Coltex system that we actually went through engineering with,
Okay.
for both the roof leaders and the footing drains,
Okay.
feed Coltex.
All
The
right.
garage door is what material?
What's that?
The garage door, what material?
Do you know the brand that we're?
Aluminum?
And I think your point is well taken, that if we're referred to the planning board, we would add the shadow line to the renders and add some of those accents, just to clarify.
It's gonna read, the house is gonna read vertical.
It'll help it to read, yeah.
It'll read vertical once you do the
Yeah.
shadow line.
So I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't
No, go ahead.
interrupt you. I'm just looking where, so the lights are going to be underneath in the entryway, and where will they be? Will you have anything on the garage?
We had proposed one central carriage-style fixture here, which similarly I can
And-
have
and
an
you-
actual thing for the planning board.
Okay, there's at least a cut sheet.
Definitely.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Are you trimming around the windows?
Minimal.
Well, I should say,
You have to do it, you have to.
We have to
do
have,
a
we have to
minimum
have trim,
eight-
yes.
you
But
have to do that
the
1.5
thought was the,
inch.
no, it'll be about, 4 to 5, no shadow trim.
Oh, like a 3.5 inch trim around each window? Not the board, not the board?
the drawing that we have, we had shown like the batten width style of
Right,
trim,
right.
just to keep everything very clean, even the corners and,
Right.
we had a-
I'm just
like
going
an
by your
inch.
elevation.
What's
The
that?
elevation doesn't show any trim around the window, it shows the roof over the porch to be asphalt, not standing seam.
Right. The actual elevation drawing, right?
Are you doing simulated divided light? The windows.
Sorry, what's that?
The
SDLs?
SDLs, not
It's
TDLs.
gonna be a grill inside and outside, not a,
Correct.
I do have questions about the front entryway again. It's going to be an asphalt driveway, and then it looks like you have a little bit of a pathway to your entrance. What is that going to be? What material will that be?
That's gonna be a combination of porcelain tile that looks like bluestone, but it's a little hardier, and it's gonna have bluestone trim around the outside.
We really need to see the samples. It's hard to visualize and guess when we don't really have the sample of the facade colors, the roof color, and then now this additional, and to see them all together helps us come to a determination about how it's all going to mesh together. And the lighting.
You've said you've kind of done this before, you've kind of figured out the prototype. Is this the same finishes and?
The only difference between the one on Murray Ave that we did in Mamaroneck and this one is the color of the board and batten. That one was white. But everything else about it, the bluestone material, the light fixtures, the window color, everything else about it was this. And then for Dave, he was interested in pursuing the charcoal siding.
If there's that many similarities other than the color, I think that information would certainly help your case in, conveying it certainly to us and our colleagues on the planning board as we move forward. Because again, this is what it is. There's really no mystery here. We're just looking to make sure that, it fits in and it's
Yeah,
not-
we definitely, my apologies on the samples. That was just a miss on my end. I don't know the best way to rectify that because we have all these things
Yeah.
in our office. We
Yeah,
just need to
listen,
pull them together, so.
Again, it's not the end of the world, but if you've done this and a lot of these details, have already been designed and executed, then I think, a picture tells 1,000 words.
So are you suggesting, again, if we're moving forward, that we bring photographs of that executed project in the future or submit them?
Well-
Because we have those handy as well.
Yeah, I certainly don't think it's,
and I think the rendering with the shadow lines on the, on the batten,
Right.
definitely, because it's gonna read total, and right now, it
reads
reads
flat.
like stucco,
It really, yeah, it
Reads
reads
like
flat,
this.
yeah.
like, all, not even,
Flat.
not gray at all, either.
Right.
So,
And the front door material, what is that going to be?
It's gonna be same grade,
Yeah.
6x2 farmhouse door. It's not gonna see it. It's not gonna be a unfinished, I should say.
like a fiberglass, smooth fiberglass door, like that,
Yeah, solid,
true style, well,
but painted.
Alrighty. Any other comments?
air conditioning equipment, has that been,
We're zeroing in on,
It's not on the plot plan. We can locate that also. Let's go to the,
it's all electric, heat pump,
this
so
one.
it's highly efficient.
like a mini split, like that, like a mini split style? A mini split style, is that what you?
No, not, so we get it, I know what it looks like, the terminology.
It's water source heat pump where it's all,
ducted heat pump.
yeah, but water source heat pump comes out of, they're interested in the condenser unit and where it would be and how many there
Yeah.
would be. That's their question, is what will be outside,
Okay, sorry.
what will be in the side yard is the question.
It would
because
be
we
on
have
the,
this-
where the existing is on the southeast corner. So, right here. Sorry, right here.
I was gonna say, it's in the back. So along the back side of the building.
And Margaret, this didn't need a landscape plan, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to make a motion to open this to the public hearing, application 22-32, 106 Simonoi Boulevard.
Second.
Okay, and I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing on application 22-32, 106 Simonoi Boulevard. Okay, so we're going to move this along to the planning board, okay? So I make a motion to refer application 22-32, 106 Simonoi Boulevard to the planning board with these following recommendations.
Okay, so, and correct me, or,
Okay.
but I think I have all of them, and just one basic one, make sure you're very clear about proposed materials, colors, finishes, bring samples, catalog cut sheets. Okay, also sort of reevaluate the pitch on the roof on that rear elevation, and I guess you could just clarify whether you're going to modify the pitch, keep the asphalt shingles, or use a standing seam roof. You were okay with the chimney being the same material?
That's their personal preference.
Okay.
I actually have a question on the chimney, now I'm looking at it. What's inside that, actually? A wood-burning fireplace?
Yes.
And that's gonna remain?
It's what?
It's gonna remain? Because you've got
No,
this
no,
mix.
no, I'm sorry, it'll be a new wood-burning fireplace.
It's proposed.
So it requires a flue all the way out to the.
All right. Yeah, I'm just talking about, the distance away from the roof.
Correct, to be about 10 feet.
Right.
Okay, so that was just a consideration, but it sounded like you had a response to that, and as indicated, if you have photographs of something similar for the planning board, that would be helpful. Make sure that you illustrate any proposed lighting and bring cut sheets, show the leaders on the renderings, elevations, add shadow lines to the renderings to show the board and batten. And just make sure that the drawings are labeled consistently with the proposed materials, and show the location of the AC condenser units on the site plan.
Yep, I think that was it. Okay. I make a motion to adjourn, to refer the application 2232, and we're done, and that's it, right? It goes right to the planning
Yeah,
board?
so you're referring it to the planning board
Yes.
with these comments?
With these
and-
comments, and that's it.
Yep, and then you
Good
just
luck.
adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I adjourned the meeting. Okay. Okay.
It's at the very last sentence.
The very last one. Okay, so I make a motion to adjourn the September 1st, 2022 ARB meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for October 6th. Okay, all in favor?
Yes, thank you.
Can this stay here? Or?